Hello everybody. In this video I'll be talking about angle measures. The next two chapters we have coming up are on geometry, and so we're going to start out with angle measures. So here we have an angle. An angle is made up of two rays that intersect at a vertex here. So this is a ray, that is a ray, and this is the vertex. There are several different ways or several different names we can call this angle. The first name we could call it is angle, and this sign, not only is it a less than sign, but it's also a sign that means angle. We could call it angle ARQ. We could call it angle QRA. We could call it angle R. And we could also call it angle 1 because of this little 1 right here. So any of these names would talk about this angle right here. Notice that the R is always either in the middle or by itself. The A and the Q can be on either side. So there's ways we can classify angles by measurement. This here is an acute angle, and that means it is less than 90 degrees. This here is a right angle, and that means it is 90 degrees exactly. This angle is called an obtuse angle, and that means it is greater than 90 degrees. And finally, this is called a straight angle, and that means it measures exactly 180 degrees. If we put a vertex right here, this would be 180 degrees. All right, let's move on to talk about complementary and supplementary angles. Complementary angles are angles that add to 90 degrees. Supplementary angles are angles that add to 180 degrees. So in this case, I have these two angles here, and if you were to move them around a little bit, so let's say we were to do this, you would see that when you add them together, their measurements are going to be 90 degrees, right? Because that's a right angle right there. So this angle measure plus this angle measure has to add up to 90 degrees. And if we look at these angles over here, if we move these around a little bit, you will see that if you match them up like so, that they form a straight angle. So this, what they're forming here, is a straight line that would be 180 degrees. So, I mean, we could make up measurements for these. In this case, we matched them up because we don't have measurements, but normally you won't be able to do that. Normally you'll just be given measurements and you'll have to decide if they're complementary. For instance, this one might be 50 degrees and this one might be 40 degrees, and they would add up to be 90. In this one over here, this one might end up being 50 degrees, and this one might have been 130 degrees, and they would both add up to be 180. So in this case, we have some angles labeled, yet we don't know what the measures are because there's variables there. But what we can do is use the knowledge that angles that are straight are 180 degrees. And so this angle is straight and it's 180 degrees. So we know that these two angles are supplementary because they are going to have to add up to 180 degrees. So what we can do is use that information to make a little equation. So we know that 2x plus x plus 3, so 2x, which is that, and x plus 3, which is that, when added together will have to equal 180 degrees because that's what this is, right? With that knowledge, we have 2x plus x would be 3x, and then that plus 3 equals 180, And we don't need to write degrees there. We can put that in at the end. And then we know how to solve two-step equations, so we're going to subtract 3 from both sides and get 3x equals 177. And then we know that we're going to divide both sides by 3 here. And what are we going to get? I don't know. How about 177 divided by 3 is 5, 27, 59. So we know that x is 59 degrees. Well, in this problem, we're not necessarily being asked what the variable is, but we might be asked what the measurements of each angle are. And so the measurement of this angle here is going to be 62 degrees, and the measurement of this angle here is going to be 120. Oops, yeah, 62, not 120. Back that up. It's going to be 59 times 2, which is 118. There we go. And then we can see by that these do add up to 180. Another type of problem that we need to figure out is when two lines intersect, and if we're given one of the angle measurements, can we find the other angle measurements? Well, we know that this angle here and this angle here form 180 degree straight angle. So that means this angle must be 180 minus 50. So this angle must be 130 because 130 plus 50 is 180. Same thing is true for this straight angle here. If we were to, let me do this in a different color here. If I were to make an angle from here to here, that's also 180. So we know that 130 plus this unknown angle is going to have to be 180. So this is going to be 50 as well. And we know that this from here to here, so the purple now, is supplementary, right? That's going to be 180. So that means this angle here has to be 130 because we have 180, we have 180, we have 180, and we have 180. Now we got a messed up picture. But eventually, what that tells us is we get some new info, and that 50, this angle here, has an opposite angle, which is this angle here. We know that because of the two supplementary properties that these are going to be equal. And as we know, because of supplementary, we know these are going to be equal, and that these end up always being the same. So 130 and 130, and 50 and 50. So if I were to set up a new problem, like here and here, and if I said this was 30 degrees, then we would know that this is 30. We would know that this is 150, and we would know that this is 150 as well. All right, and that is it for the video. Thanks for watching.